What is going on? In today's video, we're gonna go over 3 really easy steps that you can implement today that are gonna help you avoid plateaus in your muscle gain and your fat loss and your performance, and really help you progress as fastly as possible when it comes to being the best basketball player you can be. And if you stick around, as a little bonus at the end, I'm gonna give you the exact tool that I use with my clients to implement these things that we're gonna talk about today, so make sure you stick around. Now, this can be a really frustrating situation. You were seeing really good progress at first. Maybe you started eating healthier, getting in the gym, doing your thing, and you're seeing progress when it came to muscle gain, fat loss, performance, whatever goal you were trying to achieve when it comes to being the best basketball player possible. And then all of a sudden, it comes to a screeching halt and you have no idea why. You're doing the same exact thing that led to the result in the first place. So in theory, you just want to keep doing the exact same thing that got you to the result that you wanted anyway, right? Just keep repeating that and you're going to keep seeing the results. Unfortunately, that's not how it works in most cases. And today, like I said, I'm going to reveal 3 really easy things you can do to avoid that really frustrating situation and keep you seeing progress as fastly as possible on the court. Now, basketball players usually either fall into one of 2 categories here. One, they make 0 adjustments and they keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over again with their diet. And this could look like just eating healthy and not really paying attention to their calories and macros. This could look like having a calorie plan or a macronutrient plan and sticking to the same exact numbers day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out, and not changing anything. But nonetheless, they're still sticking to that same nutrition plan without adjusting anything. The other side of that, which also has issues, is the type of player who adjusts everything and adjusts super often to the point where they're adjusting too much. Like they see a slight upward fluctuation on the scale and they drastically decrease calories, or vice versa. If they're trying to gain weight, they see a slight drop in the scale weight overnight and they freak out and add 500 calories to their daily prescription. In neither of those situations, so not adjusting at all and adjusting too often, are where we want to be. So you might be wondering, what is the solution to this? How do I get around that? The solution to it is by keeping track of metrics, keeping track of data. When I work with my athletes, we don't want to guess with anything. We don't want to take that chance, because when you guess, when you make adjustments just because you feel like it, or you don't make adjustments just because you feel like it, without any objective data to back it up, to back your decision up, you're leaving your results on the basketball court up to chance. And I don't know about you, but if I'm trying to be the best in my sport, I'm not going to leave those results up to chance. I want to do everything in my power to make sure everything we're doing is in alignment with the end goal. And we do that by keeping track of data. And the next question might be, what data do I track? What do I do? And that's where the 3 steps come in. The first thing we're going to want to track every single day is you're going to want to weigh yourself every day. And before you go crazy here and start, like I said, adjusting and making calorie changes and macro changes just on the slightest change of the scale weight, we're not looking at daily fluctuations. We are not freaking out and overreacting over a 1 pound gain or loss overnight. That's just not how we're gonna do it, because your body weight is gonna fluctuate overnight pretty regularly. Like I sit around 216 to 220, anywhere in that range I could wake up and weigh in at that weight. If I go from 216 to 217 and I make a drastic calorie adjustment and drop my calories way down, that's not gonna be a good look. So we're not gonna do that. What we're gonna do instead is weigh in every day and then take the weekly average. So at the end of the week, you're gonna take the average of those 7 days, and what we're gonna do is compare those weekly averages. The weekly averages give us the best picture of how you're actually progressing, how your weight is actually progressing. You might be wondering, why don't I just weigh in once a week then if we're not gonna look at it on a daily basis? By weighing in every day, we have more data points and it makes the average more accurate. A good example of this would be, let's say we did weigh in once a week, just every Monday. And one Monday I weigh in at 216. The next Monday I weigh in at 220. That looks like I gained 4 pounds in a week. And that might lead me to make a drastic calorie adjustment or a nutrition adjustment in general that I don't need to make. Because who knows, I could have been sitting around 218. That could have been my average for the week, and I may not have changed my weight at all, or may have actually lost weight on average. And I wouldn't know that if I didn't weigh myself every day. So my suggestion to you here is to weigh yourself every day so you have those data points, and then compare the weekly averages and make decisions based off of the weekly averages. And as a pro tip here, when it comes to weighing yourself, I would recommend doing that first thing in the morning when you wake up, after you go to the bathroom, before you eat or drink anything. That's gonna minimize any sort of fluctuations that are just random and keep the measurement as consistent as possible and as accurate as possible so you can rely on it when it comes to making those adjustments. And as bonus points here, if one of your goals is to build muscle or lose body fat, you might want to also keep track of progress pictures. It's not one of the 3 steps that I'm listing, but it can be a helpful metric to keep track of, because if you're trying to gain muscle and your weight doesn't go up, but your progress pictures look better week after week, I would say you're doing a pretty good job, and you don't want to make a drastic adjustment just based on that weight alone. And the second step that we're going to talk about today is keeping track of your nutrition data. This should be pretty straightforward if you're already tracking using an app like MyFitnessPal or anything like that, where you have those set calorie numbers and macronutrient numbers for the day. You're just going to keep track of those on a daily basis. I like to use a spreadsheet with my clients. That's what I'm going to give you guys at the end, so make sure you stick around. But you could do this, you could write it down, you could just keep track of it on the app. The reason I like the spreadsheet is because it gives us all that data in one place, and if I need to look back at something, it's very easy to access. But the point being, you need to keep track of that data, because without that, what are you actually going to adjust? So let's say your weight goes up on average over the course of 3 weeks and you realize, okay, I got to cut this back a little bit. If you're not actively keeping track of your nutrition, how are you going to make an actual adjustment? How are you going to know what you're doing is an actual change from what you've already been doing? You can't really. So keeping track of those numbers is going to be really helpful. Now, if you're not quite there yet, if you may be just getting started with your nutrition, which many of you are, don't worry, you don't need to track your macros just yet. And many people just starting out actually shouldn't be doing that because it's going to overcomplicate things. In this case, I would still recommend keeping track of your nutrition. There's a couple ways you could do this. The simplest one, the one I have all my athletes start off with, even the highest level D1 recruits, college basketball players, pro players, I don't care who it is, I usually have them start off with literally just taking pictures of the food that they eat. And it might not even be super accurate in terms of making adjustments, but if you're just getting started out, it can be very helpful to get an idea of how you're structuring your meals and just being able to look and see like, oh, that meal looks pretty good. I got a good balance of proteins, carbs, fats, and color in there. Oh, that meal does not look really good. So it causes you to kind of self-reflect a little bit, and that in and of itself is a positive. And then eventually we'll get you up to speed to tracking using MyFitnessPal or any other app and actually having that calorie and macronutrient data. And then before we get on to the third step for today and your bonus, be sure to drop a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far and it's helping you out. And then the next thing we're gonna talk about today is something you may not have heard about before unless you've been following my content up until this point, which is biofeedback. And it sounds super complicated, but it really is not. It's super simple. And what it is quite literally biofeedback. It's the feedback that your body is giving you on a daily basis as to how it is responding to the plan. There's a couple of different categories I like to track here. The main ones being training performance, so how do you feel in your workouts and in your games. Hunger is also a pretty good signal to keep track of. Things like energy levels overall throughout the day, stress levels, digestion, so how your stomach and digestive system feel. All those things are some really good metrics to keep track of. And there's a bunch of other biofeedback metrics, but we'd be here forever if we were to go through the entire list. And it's honestly going to be quite dependent on the individual, but those ones that I just listed off right now are a pretty good place to start, and they're all on the spreadsheet that I mentioned. And what you're going to do here is simply keep track of them using a scale of 1 to 5 or a scale of 1 to 10. It doesn't really matter. Pick whatever you prefer. It's not going to make or break anything, but you're going to keep track of those on that numerical scale. And quite literally, when you wake up in the morning, just think, okay, how was my sleep quality? On a scale of 1 to 10. 5 out of 10? Cool. Put that in your spreadsheet or however you're tracking it. But that way, it kind of serves as a check engine light. It's a good way to think about it. So for example, if you have energy levels that are about a 5 out of 5 for 2 weeks in a row, and then all of a sudden you see for a couple of days in a row, it drops down to a 1 out of 5 or a 2 out of 5. That serves as sort of that check engine light, that red flag to go on and look and see what is going on there, what needs to change there. And then from there, it'll allow us to actually go in and make a specific change depending on what's going on. So if we look and see, okay, energy levels are down, what happened there? Oh, you underate for the past couple of days leading up to that. That's why your energy was so bad. That makes sense. Let's make that adjustment. Let's make that change. Get things going in the right direction. So as you can see, that data that we're keeping track of is guiding every single adjustment that we're making. Very rarely will I make an adjustment. Of course, there's always exceptions to that rule, but very rarely will I ever make an adjustment just based off of intuition or how I feel. 99.99999% of the time, it's going to be based off of one of these metrics, whether it's your weight, whether it's your biofeedback, doesn't really matter. And then obviously the thing that we're changing is going to be those nutrition metrics that we mentioned. So now you might be wondering, how am I going to track all this stuff? This is so much stuff. I don't know. This is going to take me like an hour every day to do. It's literally going to take you 20 to 30 seconds every single day. And that spreadsheet is going to help you out. I lay it out nice and neat, exactly how I do it for my clients. And you'll be able to use that exact structure to keep track of all these metrics and make sure that you're going in the right direction. So to access that, go ahead and click the link in the description. It's gonna be the first link there. It'll give you access to the spreadsheet, and also you'll get access to that private Facebook group too, completely for free. I'm going live in there answering questions all the time. So check it out. I'll see you inside. And also make sure you check out this video that's popping up on the screen right now. I honestly don't know if it's popping up here or here. I don't really know, but check it out. Drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.